Yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Taking a hose a few times.
Thank you for joining us here this evening. For the record, this is City Council meeting and public hearing of June 23rd, 2025 for the City of Alpharetta. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. And before we begin, I want to mention, if you're here for two items that have been deferred, I don't want you to have to sit through the meeting for a couple of hours to find out that it wasn't going to be heard. So there were two items that were deferred. First item was CLUP 25-05/Z-25-05. The Wooten Track Townhomes has been deferred until the July 28th City Council meeting and will not be considered this evening. The other is MP-25-01/CU-25-05, and that was Fulton Science Academy, Cousins Westside MP Pod R. That has also been withdrawn by the applicant and will not be considered this evening. So if you were here for either of those items, you just won yourself a little bit of extra time this evening. I'll note for the record that all members of council are present and accounted for. And as always, we begin our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you're willing and able, please stand and join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So the first item up on our agenda this evening is presentations and proclamations. So I'd like to welcome Amanda, Councilman Hypes, for a presentation. Please do.
Okay.
You're the only one that knows what's going on with all of this.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for having us here. This was a great year of learning and growth at Old Rucker Farm, and we had the opportunity to do it alongside these two remarkable young adults, Max Strawn and Mackenzie Schoeneck. While a small team of two, they were mighty. On the first day, I told them that this was a unique course that they were about to begin, that together with their teachers, we were able to offer the Cambridge High School Ag Business students a very special experience, one that I like to compare to a college-level independent study class. And those are usually not offered to students until they're in their third or fourth year of college. These are high school seniors. As many of you know, this program was designed to have 6 to 10 students enrolled, and this year, as I said, we had a tiny but mighty team of 2. The demands of a farm and the business that the students run did not change. Max and Mackenzie still sold Alpharetta boxes from October to May. They still had fresh and added value items at their school's Winter Bazaar in December, and at the Alpharetta Farmers Market, and at Taste of Alpharetta in May. For those who may not know, the program is designed for the students to learn all the components of running a small-scale organic farm business, from seed starting and plant tending to online sales and marketing. The sale of the produce, eggs, added value items is all collected by the city. And at the end of the year, the students receive a scholarship in the amount of 50% of the sales to be used for college. This year, Max and Mackenzie did all the things. They harvested in the rain and the cold. They washed a lot of dirty eggs. They grew and dried herbs and mushrooms, mixed and bagged tea, made flower and herb-scented candles, bundled lots of kale and chard, and bagged a lot of lettuce. They spent time in the grow room and in the field, learning that food did not just appear in our stores or on our tables. We're very proud of this year's Alpharetta business graduates, and we look forward to seeing where they go as they head off to Georgia Tech and Kennesaw State Universities. We're really happy to be able to award each of them a scholarship in the amount of $1,249.54, all due to their very, very hard work. Congratulations.
As someone who grew up on a farm, and I didn't get any college credit or scholarship awards for it, I just commend you guys. I mean, there's no greater education than just living off the land and doing what you all did, so congratulations.
So thank you all. Would you like to say a few words on your own? You sure? Okay. Well, we're grateful for you, and we appreciate your efforts for this community and everything you did. So thank you. Congratulations. I'm not going to force you to. You don't want to tell them that? I saw the goodie bags, but I didn't have a chance to look and see what it was.
So Mackenzie and I made goodie bags for mayor, city council, and city manager with some of our products that we had left over, kind of as a thank you for their support of our program.
See, that's not so hard. Thank you. Thank you very much. So the next item up on our agenda this evening is the consent agenda. And the consent agenda consists of the items I'll list here: the City Council meeting minutes from the June 16th, 2025 meeting, the Canton Street right-of-way warranty deed, and the contract approval for the Chrysalie Events contract. Does anyone want to remove anything from the consent agenda? Seeing none. Ms. Shapiro, do we have any public comment cards?
Not for the consent agenda, Mr. Mayor.
However, if anyone would like to come speak forward on that item, your opportunity is now. Seeing no one come forward, we'll close public comment on the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion by Councilman Mitchell and a second by Councilman Hypes. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve, please vote yes. Otherwise, vote accordingly. And it does pass unanimously. So we'll move on to the public hearing portion of tonight's meeting. First item up under public hearing is the announcement of the public hearing procedures. Ms. Eswine, do you mind?
An individual requesting to be heard on a matter related to the purpose of the hearing must be recognized by the mayor before addressing the city council. Upon rising to speak, the speaker must identify himself or herself and furnish a home or business address before proceeding with any comments or remarks. The council will allow proponents a total of 10 minutes to speak in support of an application. Opponents will be allowed 10 minutes to speak in opposition. Comments are accepted first from the applicant, followed by persons speaking in favor, and then from those in opposition. Upon conclusion of any opposing comments or presentation, The mayor will allow the applicant to offer rebuttal if any time is remaining in the originally allotted 10 minutes.
Thank you, Ms. Eswine. So we'll go ahead and move on to the first item, which is CU-25-09, Chung's Taekwondo Academy. Mr. Woodman, I believe you've got the floor on this item.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The first item before you is a conditional use request for a commercial, to allow a commercial school in a 2,200 square foot suite in an existing shopping center. This is for Chung's Taekwondo Academy. The business is a martial arts school, and the property is located at 480 North Main Street, Suite 216, and this is the location map. This is the Main Street Walk Shopping Center. Property is owned OP, Office Professional. It's developed with a 2-story building. Chung's Taekwondo Academy is a martial arts school in operation since 1989. Before I go into more details about the use, this is the building at Main Street Walk. There are 2 buildings. The southern building is the 2-story building, and then the northern building is the 1-story building. The applicant is proposing to go into the southern building, the 2-story building, on the second floor, generally in this suite here. Chung's Taekwondo Academy is a martial arts school in operation since 1989. The business offers martial arts classes for children, teens, and adults. They have an existing location at 12915 Highway 9. That's in the city of Milton. They will be, if approved, they would be relocating the business to the city of Alpharetta at this location. Hours of operation are proposed Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. to 8 p.m., and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., and the applicant anticipates 2 employees with this business. As I mentioned, the applicant's suite is on the second floor of the building. They are not proposing any changes to the exterior of the building or to the site, and this proposal is supported by sufficient parking at this location. There was previously a dance school at this location, which is similar use. We looked at the review criteria for conditional use and found the proposal would not adversely affect adjacent and nearby properties, which are primarily developed with commercial and office uses. Similar uses have been permitted in Main Street Walk. The applicant did provide a citizen participation report indicating that they received no public comments, and there were no public comments at the May 14th Community Zoning Information Meeting. This item was also considered by Planning Commission at their June 5th meeting. There were no public comments at that meeting, and Planning Commission recommended unanimous approval, subject to the 5 conditions in your staff report, and that concludes the report. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Woodman? Well done, sir. Thank you. Would the applicant like to come forward at this time?
Hello, sir. Hello, ma'am. Good evening. I'm pleased to meet you. My name is Oi Hwang Jung. Good in U.S., I go by John Jung. I have been training and teaching Taekwondo, Korean martial art for 60 years. For 10 years starting in 1979, I taught Taekwondo at military academy and in the army in Peru. And since then, I have been teaching students in Miami, and since 2010 in Atlanta. I have now had the opportunity to teach Taekwondo in Alpharetta. I need your interest and support. I will provide education that helps that community here in Alpharetta, allowing individuals to dedicate and serve themselves, their neighborhood, and their country through Taekwondo. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Is that all you would like to say on your behalf?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Would we like to proceed to anybody who would like to speak against this item?
Or call for anybody else who wants to speak in favor first, if you don't mind, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. It might be easier to keep time that way. Is there anyone who would like to come forward and speak in favor of this item? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Is there anyone who would like to speak against this item? Seeing no one come forward, once again, we'll close public comment. Do we have any questions for the applicant? Thank you, sir. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, making a motion this evening to approve CU-25-09 Chung's Taekwondo Academy as presented to us this evening. Second.
Have a motion to approve by Mayor Pro Tem Merkel and a second by Councilman Mitchell. Any discussion, gentlemen? All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. And it does pass unanimously. Congratulations, sir. So next item up on our agenda will be V-25-09/E-25-05 Dogwood Square. Mr. Woodman, once again, you're lucky enough to present this item.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The next request is a request from Dogwood Square. They're requesting a parking special exception to reduce parking and a variance to gate a private street, and this is located in the downtown overlay. The applicant's request is related to a proposed rehab of the facility, including some ADA and emergency accessibility improvements, as well as outdoor amenity improvements that relate to the request. A parking special exception is requested to reduce existing parking from 90 spaces to 86 spaces, so a reduction of 4 spaces. And a variance is requested to gate a private street. This is the location map. Property is located at 555 Janice Lane. So Janice Lane is just off of South Main Street, just north of the Maxwell mixed-use development. 3.1 acre property, zone C2, general commercial. This property was developed in the 80s with a 5-story multifamily building currently known as Dogwood Square. Dogwood Square is a 100-unit residential building serving low-income seniors and physically handicapped individuals. Just to give you some street views, this is coming down Janice Lane. Before you reach the parking lot for Dogwood Square, Maxwell would be on the right-hand side of this picture. And then this is the building on the property, so you've entered into Janice Lane would be at this point of the picture. This is the applicant's site plan. Before I get into the site plan real quick, typically you would see a parking reduction with a parking variance. In the downtown, we treat parking reductions a little bit differently. This is a parking special exception. In order to request that, the exception may be granted when the character of the use is such that the full provision of on-site parking facilities is unnecessary. We believe that that relates to the population that this facility serves. The Unified Development Code required 1 parking space per bedroom or 100 spaces for the development. And there was a parking variance that was granted back in the mid-80s, 1985, to reduce required parking from 100 spaces to 90 spaces. And as I mentioned, the applicant is requesting an additional reduction from 90 to 86 spaces, so a reduction of 4 spaces. And this would allow for the rehab improvements that the applicant is proposing at the site. As I mentioned, there's also a variance request to allow a private street to be gated, and that would be Janice Lane. So the applicant has, Janice Lane was constructed for Dogwood Square. Recently, the Maxwell development, when it was built, added a curb cut to Janice Lane approximately in this location. And with that curb cut in the development of the Maxwell, Dogwood Square has experienced problems with folks from the Maxwell parking in their parking lot, also lining the streets, parking along the streets with the potential to block emergency vehicles having access to this location. So the applicant is asking to gate the private street, and that gate is proposed right here at the entrance to their parking lot. And there is the ability to make a turnaround in this location as well. We looked at the review criteria for the parking special exception and variance. As we noted, Dogwood Square serves seniors and physically handicapped individuals and does not demand as much parking as required by the UDC. And the variance to allow the private street to be gated would improve safety for Dogwood Square residents and deter customers from parking from the Maxwell from parking at this location. If approved, we are recommending some aesthetic improvements along Janice Lane, as well as an easement for a future connection of the Alpha Loop. So those 2 items, there is a detention pond approximately in this location. There's an existing chain link fence around it. We have added a condition requiring that fence be replaced with a decorative metal fence and landscaping around the fencing. Also, I made mention of a future Alpha Loop connection, and you see that here. So this is Janice Lane coming in off of South Main Street. The Alpha Loop runs along the north side of the Maxwell development, and we had always contemplated a potential future connection of the Alpha Loop up to Old Milton Parkway through this stream buffer area along this location. So we do have a condition asking for a 10-foot public access easement for a future Alpha Loop connection at this location. And that, before I go on, there was a citizen participation report provided by the applicant, no public comments according to the applicant, 1 comment in support at the May 14th Community Zoning Information Meeting, and Planning Commission considered this request at their June 5th meeting, no public comments, and Planning Commission recommended unanimous approval, subject to the 7 conditions in the staff report in your packets. And that concludes the presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Councilman Heights.
Mr. Woodman, is Janice Lane a public or private street?
Janice Lane it's both. So from this point forward, it's a private street.
Okay.
This is public here.
So the private portion of that street will still be accessible prior to the gate, if the gate is approved.
Correct.
And to the extent there's been encroachment by parking from adjoining businesses, who controls whether that is that up to the private property owner on that part of Janice Lane to deal with that, or is that a city situation, if you know?
Yeah, this is part of Dogwood Square's property here. This private street, Janice Lane, this is part of their property, so it would be their responsibility to have people towed if they were parking on the street.
Thank you.
Councilman Mitchell.
Thank you, Michael. I'm curious, since it is a private street from, I guess, where the Alpha Loop will go through at the beginning of their property, right?
It would-
somewhere? Okay.
I believe it's right about the beginning of the property. I don't know where I put that exhibit. Here we go. So the exhibit is actually, their curb cut is further down here, so it is on the private property, and that's why we're asking for the easement.
Right.
So it's approximately in this location here. So their property line goes up to about at this location. And the
I guess-
Alpha Loop crossing would be here.
What I'm wondering is, since folks are parking on Janice Lane to go to the Maxwell, and I know that gets heavily congested there, why not put the gate closer to where their property begins? And the Alpha Loop could still run through that for pedestrians, but why put it way up here where they have to turn around, but they can still park on that lane?
There's not enough, if you put the gate up here, the concern would be for, like, if they had deliveries, like Amazon deliveries. If the Amazon truck is not, someone didn't answer the gate, they need to be able to turn around. And this area gives a little bit more space for them to turn around. We do have conditions, and you can see red lines here as well. So this is the applicant's site plan, and they propose to paint the curbing red, which to keep people from not parking, and then also posting no parking signs.
And currently, do they have no parking signs up?
I don't believe that there are no parking signs today.
Okay, that would help the problem. I just hate to see cars get parked there and then there be an emergency, and you can't get the fire truck or ambulatory vehicles
Yeah.
up that path.
I believe that's the applicant's main concern with that, yes.
I can understand. All right, thank you.
Councilman Brady?
I think some of my questions were based off what Councilman Mitchell was going. I've seen this plenty of course, I'm a patron of the Maxwell, but seeing traffic up and down on the street, and was worried about public safety vehicles being able to get in there. So I guess my question is to resonate, what is being done as part of this process? It sounds like just the painting of the curb and signs is just a deterrent for parking out there.
Yes, so painting the curb, then the no parking signage, and then, of course, the gating will not allow for folks to park within the parking lot.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Councilman DeRito?
Thank you, Mayor. Real quick question, just going off of what Councilman Fertile Brady was alluding to on the public safety side of things. I'm assuming the gate design meets our public safety requirements for access for emergency vehicles?
It does. We do have conditions of zoning that would require gate access for fire entry into the property, emergency entry.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions for Mr. Whitman? Thanks, sir. Would the applicant like to come forward at this time?
Hi, I'm Sissy Watson, and I'm here on behalf of Dogwood Square, Mayor and council members. Very nice to be with you tonight. Thank you for hearing our request. The property is actually being acquired by a nonprofit organization from another nonprofit organization, and we're super excited about the renovations and also the changes that we think will really enhance the quality of life for the residents. So thank you very much. I'm thrilled to share as much or as little as you'd like to hear about the plans for the renovation, but this is the aerial that he showed us is super important because we have concerns as well for the seniors with the emergency vehicles. I have a hard time getting through there sometimes when there's cars parked on both sides. Right now, we have a lot of people parking in the parking lot. We have some spots roped off with caution tape asking them not to park there, and those are the least used parking spaces at the property. But people come in and they drive fast, and they really create we feel like, some safety issues for our seniors. So the gate, we think, will help a lot, and also painting the street. But I'm with you. I think it would be terrific if we could put the gate up closer, but we do have to have the turnaround, so unfortunately. So we appreciate so much y'all hearing our request for the variance, and happy to share as much as you'd like to know.
Do we have any questions for the applicant? Councilman Brady?
If you don't mind, I'd love to hear just a little bit of some things that you're talking about. Is there any exterior improvements to the property except
Yes.
for the parking lot and that? Because I know probably the public would love to know, and it's
Yeah.
right there in downtown.
Sure. Not a lot of changes, but the building will be pressure washed and then the brick will be resealed. We will, right in the front of the building, there will be part of the building that is brought out to enlarge the size of the community room for our seniors. So that will be a change. And then we have a couple of pavilions that will be outdoor areas for our seniors that will have fans and lights for them to enjoy the outside. We'll also be adding raised garden beds. A lot of our seniors like to garden, and so the higher beds make it so much easier for them. And they sign up, and many of the residents have gardens. So that will be the most obvious to the public eye. Obviously, the gate is a big one. But we'll be doing a lot of renovations on the inside. Right now, we have a ramp that goes up to your walkway there that goes up to the development. And I know a lot of our seniors do use that ramp, but I think that was part of the reason why people would come in and park in our parking lot, and then they walk up the ramp. So it's quick walking access from our parking lot, which is great for our residents. We just don't want to serve the world. But as far as the inside of the renovations, we'll be reconfiguring all the office space and, of course, increasing the community center, adding a fitness center, and the whole interior will be redone. New floors, new lighting, overhead ceiling fans, and the residents will be moved out and their apartment will be completely redone. New cabinets, countertops, new appliances, it'll be beautiful. All new paint, overhead ceiling fans, and then they'll move in right in the 3 to 4 week range. Usually after we do a few turns of the units, the contractor gets faster and they can manage the subs in and out. And so our goal would be to try to get it down to under 3 weeks' time. But the new owner puts them up in a hotel that serves breakfast. And I don't think it's been selected yet, but they've been talking to the different hotels nearby that also have the refrigerators and kitchenettes. So the residents can bring their food if they would like and cook themselves, which many of our residents do. And so, yeah, it's going to be really nice. So stainless steel appliances, quartz countertops. It is so nice. You would not know it's affordable if you didn't know. So you will know because there's an equal housing opportunity sign. But other than that, it is just lovely. And after we finish the full renovation, we always have a big celebration. And we invite the city council and the zoning committee members as well. And I will encourage you, as I did them, please come and see it. You will be very impressed. It's beautiful. We do it just to love on the residents because it's hard to have construction in your home and we hate it, but you have to do it. So we can't make it nicer if we don't. So anyway, the good news is we start from the top, work our way down, and so it gets less invasive. But anyway, we do hope you'll come and visit. And it's our vision, our joy, our drive just to love on our seniors. So that's what we do and hopefully really enhance their quality of life.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank y'all.
Any other questions for the applicant?
No, thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Shapiro, do we have any public comment cards in favor of this item?
We do not, Mr. Mayor.
However, if anyone would like to come forward and speak in favor of this item, now's your chance. Seeing none, we'll close public comment for supporters. Is there anyone who would like to speak against this item? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion this evening to approve V-25-09/E-25-05 Dogwood Square as presented to us this evening by Mr. Woodman.
Second.
Have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Merkel, a second by Councilman Dorito. Any discussion, gentlemen? All those in favor of the motion to approve as outlined in the motion by Mayor Pro Tem, please vote yes. And it does pass unanimously. Congratulations. We look forward to seeing the improvements.
Thank you.
So the next item up on our agenda this evening is V-25-11 12725/12735 Providence Road. Mr. Woodman, you're a busy man this evening.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The next item before you is a request for a variance to allow a T turnaround in lieu of a cul-de-sac. This is for a 7-lot, single-family detached subdivision on 3.25 acres. Have the location map on the overhead. This property is located at 12725 and 12735 Providence Road. This is directly across the intersection from Providence Road and Bates Road. The Hearthstone subdivision is across the street. Property is zoned R15. It's developed with 2 single-family detached homes. And the variance request is to allow the street to terminate in a T turnaround instead of a cul-de-sac. The applicant did provide a code-compliant site plan, so this site plan meets the R15 development regulations as well as provides a cul-de-sac. The applicant has decided to come forward for a variance to change the cul-de-sac to a T turnaround instead. And the idea here is that it would give more lot area for the residential lots. It does not allow for an increase in the number of lots on the property. It just gives more usable land for the residential lots. And it minimizes the impervious surface within the development. So the T turnaround has much less impervious area than the cul-de-sac. This is, of course, the applicant's site plan. There's 7 detached lots with a detention pond here. A fire marshal has reviewed this and it finds this design to be acceptable. We also looked at the variance review criteria. We believe this request would reduce overall impervious area in this location, as well as maximize residential lot area. And the applicant did provide a citizen participation plan. I believe the comments that they indicated that they received were from the community zoning information meeting, because most of the questions and comments were very similar. They had 3 neighbors with questions about green space, wanting more green space, stormwater runoff, tree survey, and visibility at the new road in Providence Road. Similar questions and comments were received at the May 14th Community Zoning Information Meeting. And staff is recommending approval of the applicant's variance request subject to the 5 conditions in your staff report. And I just wanted to note that we have some conditions that would address the home style. So home style and materials would have to complement homes in the area. There's a condition that requires a 20-foot heavily landscaped landscape strip along the frontage of the street, as well as a 30-foot building setback. Those requirements are similar to other subdivisions in this area. We also have a condition requiring a 10-foot landscape strip around the perimeter of the property. The code requires 5, and the applicant is agreeable to 10. And then we do have a condition that addresses impacts to off-site trees. And that concludes the presentation. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Woodman? Councilman Brady?
I think it's great, the plan of the roundabout, kind of the impervious kind of surface. But I can't help but make the comments of the detention pond. And I guess where I go to that is I think we're just getting halfway there. Was there any discussion about putting that underground? Because all 3 things kind of come in, right? The impervious surface reduction, a detention pond that works, right, to kind of maintain our stormwater water flows in correct order, and then green space. And all these can be tackled by an underground detention piece, right? Or even kind of limiting that impervious kind of reduces that bit. And everything you said was kind of a green space area that could be there. I know we're held by our codes that we can't require this because it's allowed by the codes, but I'm voicing is I hope that we start talking about this more and more, that we implement more underground detention pieces, like a concrete vault under there that is manageable, it's economical, and then we gain all this green space. So I guess to make sure I have a question along with this is, was there any conversations with the applicant about doing an underground detention vault?
So the applicant did come forward with a land disturbance permit originally, and that's when they decided to go from the cul-de-sac to the T turnaround. But staff didn't encourage them to go underground with the detention because our stormwater policy manual handbook does discourage underground stormwater in residential subdivisions, and that's really from the standpoint of concern over the cost of maintenance of that type of facility. Now, I think things have changed over the years with that, and council certainly has the authority to approve an underground stormwater system. And you've seen many applicants come forward with residential subdivisions, especially in the downtown, with underground systems. And the purpose of that is, value of land in downtown is very expensive, and it allows for multiple use of the land. So you put the stormwater underground, and then you can use above ground for open space, amenities, things like that. So certainly it's something at the staff level that we will continue to discuss, because we do think that there is value in providing additional green space and open space here, but that's why we didn't encourage the applicant to provide an underground system. I did have a conversation with the applicant today and just mentioned to them that, have you thought about an underground system? And he was, the applicant is the engineer, and he was gonna talk to the home builder about that. So they may have some additional information for you when the applicant comes forward.
Any other questions for Mr. Woodman at this time? Thank you, sir. Would the applicant like to come forward?
Good evening. I'm Barry Dunlop with Paradigm Engineering. I'm the applicant for this particular variance. I appreciate the opportunity to speak in front of the council. Michael, once again, I appreciate your direction and
if you don't mind, would you speak up just a little bit? I'm not sure everyone can hear you.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, is this better?
Yes.
Barry Dunlop, Paradigm Engineering. My office is at 903 Bombay Lane in Roswell, Georgia. I'm the civil engineer who designed this particular development. And we actually inherited this project from an earlier engineer who had ended the development with a cul-de-sac. And one of the things that I tried to do once we took this project over was figure out how to make the last couple of lots a little bit more usable. If I could square up those lots, I could put in a home that's not quite, that's more of a standard type of architecture. And by turning the end of the street from a cul-de-sac into a T-turn, that allowed me to square up those last couple of lots at the end of the development and also reduce the amount of impervious area that was going to be built for the development because of the reduction of the cul-de-sac, the asphalt for the cul-de-sac. I did talk to Michael earlier this afternoon about the potential of underground detention, and I've mentioned that briefly with the developer. And I like underground detention. That's a preferred method of mine. It allows you to put things, as you put them underground, you're a little bit more control over the design and the volumes because you're using prefabricated materials as opposed to worrying about earthen berms or slopes. And we looked at underground detention at the very beginning of this development before we got heavily into the design of it. And at that time, it seemed cost ineffective to go that route. We've since done more engineering to the development, starting to design the retaining walls that are being used for the detention system. And so I told Michael that I'd be glad to go back in and reevaluate it and see where we were from a cost standpoint, how much of a difference the underground system would be in relationship to the above-ground system. There's the materials are expensive, and we have a lot more stone and gravel to deal with, but I do see the benefits of some additional green space, whether it's a dog park or community park, in lieu of having the open detention pond. So we would like to evaluate that. I'd like the opportunity, if we do like the underground detention system and are agreeable with the difference in cost, I would like that option as a engineer and for my client. I'd like that option in lieu of the ordinance that restricts or removes that option. But I can't promise that we would go that direction. I'd have to spend a little bit more time to evaluate the actual cost of going to an underground system in lieu of the open pond. So, are there any other questions?
Do we have any questions for the applicant?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, sir. Ms. Shapiro, do we have any public comment cards in favor of this item?
We do not for this item, Mr. Mayor.
However, if anyone would like to come forward and speak on this item, now's your chance. Seeing no one, do we have any public comment cards in opposition to this item? Ms. Shapiro.
We do not, Mr. Mayor.
However, if there's anyone that would like to come forward and speak in opposition of this application, now is your chance. Seeing no one come forward, we'll close public comment. Do we have a motion from council?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, I'd offer a motion this evening to approve V-25-1112725/12735 Providence Road with the conversion from a roundabout to the T turnaround as was presented to us this evening.
Have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Merkel. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Brady. Any discussion, gentlemen? You want to ask a question?
Yeah, of council, as part of discussion amongst ourselves. Am I recognized?
I'm not sure how we ask questions amongst ourselves.
Well, my question is with respect to the motion, in terms of discussion, the applicant threw out there whether or not we could give him the option of doing the underground. And my question / discussion before we take it to a vote is if we, can we give him that option as subject to staff discretion? And if we could do that, he wouldn't have to come back for a change or a variance. So, I know a motion's on the table, but I wanted to have discussion.
Procedurally, that's where I would say if you're entertaining perhaps a friendly amendment, that might be a way to have a conversation about whether there's support a second for that item.
Well, I will follow your lead. I'd like to make a friendly amendment that the motion include the option for the applicant to include underground detention subject to staff's input and approval.
Accepted.
Here we go. Just procedure, that's all. So is that acceptable to the applicant?
That is an option, yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. So we have a motion on the table. Is everyone clear on the motion as outlined, plus the flexibility to perhaps have underground detention? All right, that being said, all of those in favor, please vote yes. I'm not seeing anything. Okay. It was unanimous? Okay, great, because I can't see it. There we go. Now I can see it, and it is unanimous. Congratulations. So next item up will be V-25-08, Brown/190 Canton Street. Director Cook.
Mayor and Council, the next item, the area is shown to you on the screen, and the applicant, Madewell, is requesting consideration of a variance to allow for the construction of a carriage house with garage doors facing the street prior to the construction of the primary residence. And it's on a 0.9 acre unplatted lot in the downtown, and a variance is requested to allow the doors facing the street for a single-family detached dwelling without the required 20-foot setback. So because the garage doesn't sit back from the front facade, because the front facade is going to be built at a later time, then the variance is required. Property is located at 190 Canton Street, near the southwest corner of Mayfield and Canton Street. And I have a picture of what it looks like from Canton Street. And the applicant does propose using the existing driveway. Of course, the property sits back, I think the carriage house is 250 feet back from the street. So there, of course, would be an extension, if this is approved, of the existing driveway, but these trees that you see at the front would remain. Here's another view of the front. Property is zoned R15. I'll put the site plan here. So this is the carriage house. This is Canton Street. This is the carriage house that's at the west of the property. And you can also see the footprint of the future home. The footprint of the future home is right in front of the carriage house. And then there's the driveway courtyard that would be in between the carriage house as well as the permanent house. So you can see it's about 250 feet to the carriage house at the back of the property. Again, it's zoned R15. They meet the setbacks. The setbacks would be along the front 65 feet, and they have a much greater setback along the front. The plan depicts a two-story, 1,211 square foot carriage house situated at the rear of the property. I'll show you what that carriage house architecture looks like. We did submit this to the downtown architect, and they stated that it is the Romanesque subtype of the shingle architectural style, which meets our style requirements. Our downtown architect did have a couple of comments that they will have to address if this is approved. And of course, the main house would be in the same style and would also have to follow the downtown architect. They do meet the parking requirements for the carriage house, which is 2.5 spaces. And as you can see, they've already determined their limits of disturbance. That's this dark line here. So the trees along Canton Street would remain. There's also some shared water oaks and other trees with the property owner that's to the north. So those would remain also. And some of the reason for the delay and the reason that the applicant wants to build the carriage house first before the main house is to make sure that they work through any shared trees and make sure that they're on the same page with their neighbor. There's already been some clearing on the property you may have seen, and that is for the sewer extension. So they do have a sewer easement that's off-site of the property. Since the carriage house is set back 256 feet from Canton Street, when staff looked at this, we believe that it would not be an impact if it was approved. We have seen other variances where we've given variances to allow the garage doors to vary from being set back 20 feet from a front facade. Most of the time that's on interior streets. We don't usually allow that on Thompson Street, Canton Street, streets that are very prominent collector streets. But in this particular application, we believe because it does sit back so far from the road and there will be a permanent structure eventually in front of the carriage house, we do not see that it's an issue. The applicant did notify surrounding property owners and there was some concerns that we had. The concerns weren't over the carriage house, it was over the shared trees, as well as concern if additional trees would be removed. So we have put conditions in there that would protect from additional clearing. We also had a resident reach out and thought that the request was to subdivide the R15 piece. This is still remaining R15. It's almost an acre property, so there is no subdivision or adding multiple different homes. The citizen zoning information meeting was held on the May 14th. We also had a concern from a nearby property owner about the names that were shown on for the property owners that are adjacent. Of course, that's something that's controlled by Fulton County, so they don't update very quickly when purchases are made for property, so that's not something that we could control. But those are the concerns we had, and we are recommending approval of V2508 Brown, 190 Canton Street, subject to 10 different conditions. And on condition number 1, I am recommending that you add something to condition number 1 that really ensures that the house, when it's built, the permanent house, is set back from Canton Street as shown here. Because of course you could come back with a 65-foot setback, and I think that since people are here tonight looking at this particular site plan, that we should strengthen the condition to make sure that it is set back as shown. So number 1 with the change would read, site shall be developed substantially similar to the site plan prepared by Travis Pruitt and Associates, dated March 3rd, 2025, including clearing limits and future home placement, except for modifications required to comply with the conditions below. And then no other changes are recommended by staff. And happy to answer any questions that you may have regarding the application.
Do we have any questions for Director Cook? Councilman Mitchell?
So, thank you, Ms. Cook. So at this time, we don't have a rendering of the home that'll go in the front of the carriage house?
No, but there's a condition that says it has to match that same Romanesque shingle style, and we would also send that to our downtown architect to get comments. He had a few comments that the applicant, I understand, is okay making those changes, but that would have to also go to the downtown architect for review.
All right. I'm excited about the Romanesque style. That's the first in our historic design measures that we've seen in the city. I just want to make sure that in that area where there's this beautiful lawn, especially on the front arts and crafts house, that we maintain that setback. I think it's important that it's so. You would change the comment to which condition?
On number 1.
Just on number 1.
Yeah, so
setback.
number 1 is just adding after the date, including clearing limits and future home placement, and that will ensure that this lawn does remain along the front. So after 3/3/2025, it would say including clearing limits and future home placement.
Thank you, Ms. Cook.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions for Director Cook? Thank you very much. Ms. Shapiro, do we have any public comment cards supporting this item?
I have a public comment card, one for this item. They did not select whether they were in favor or opposition, but it is for Claudia Lewis. If you'd like to come forward.
Well, I was going to let the applicants come forward.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
But I was just curious if we had any.
Are you speaking in favor or in opposition, Ms. Lewis?
Well, first we need the applicant.
Oh, okay.
If the applicant would like to come forward at this time.
Hey there, Tori Young with Madewell on behalf of Rita and Mike Brown, the homeowners.
Do you have anything to add?
really, we did spend some time with the neighbors, both Mike Brown did, the two adjoining neighbors. I also did at the public hearing. And the things that were most important were that because we had started grading and then kind of hit the pause button, there was some, some washing that was happening near the Lewis's property. And we've assured them that we're going to go ahead and grade appropriately and plant trees to go ahead and start to control the lot. And then, of course, get started on the house, the carriage house itself. We also had some concerns about an adjoining tree, and once there was a little more review, there's a slight amount of a tree that is on the adjacent property to the north. Mr. Brown is in agreement that we should keep that tree if at all possible, and so that's been the direction with that. And trying to, appease and clean up any possible issues that there might be, and go from there.
Do we have any questions for the applicant? Councilman Brady?
Yeah, just out of curiosity, about the site, I know you're going to go build the garage, but is the house going to be built after that, or do you guys have a timeline on this?
Yeah, this has been going on for a while, a couple of years. And they're just getting fatigued. And they wanted to at least have a place that they could put in motion and then finish the rest. And they've kind of had to drop back and punt a few times. And we have the sewer already in, so it's really queued up and ready to go. But they need to figure out exactly what they're going to do on the main house. And honestly, they were just so fatigued with everything that they wanted to have a landing spot there before they moved forward and make sure that they didn't just spend additional money for no reason.
Any other questions for the applicant? Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Shapiro, I believe you said there were none? None in favor?
I'm not sure if Ms. Lewis is in favor or in opposition. I would like to know.
Well, is there anyone who would like to come forward and speak in favor of this project?
I'm Claudia Lewis, and my husband Nat and I live at 184 Canton Street, which is adjacent to Mike and Rita's lot where they're going to be building. We like the carriage house. We don't have any problem with that or the garages or any of that. And I'm very glad that Tori has brought up one of our overall concerns, and I know Mike and Rita have been concerned about this too, and that is the drainage in that area. We have had, with all these tremendous rains just recently, some drainage over onto the back part of our property. And of course, with more grading and all, that can now assume I couldn't understand everything Tori said, but that I would assume could be fairly easily addressed. I would like to just ask a curious question, though. I know that at one point there was a plan for an underground retention pond on that property when they were first planning the main house, in addition to, I think, maybe some sort of a drain area coming down to the street. I don't know if that's still in the plans or if that's what the city might still be thinking about, but I'm just hoping that my concerns will be addressed in that way. And so we're delighted. It's been a long time trying to get Mike and Rita there beside us, so we are very happy to have them finally maybe as neighbors. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else that would?
Can I reply to her concern here?
I'm sorry, it's still time for other individuals to be speaking in favor.
So is there anyone else that would like to come forward and speak in favor of this item? Seeing none, we'll close public comment in favor. Ms. Shapiro, do we have any public comment cards in opposition to this item?
We do not, Mr. Mayor.
However, if there is anyone that would like to speak in opposition, now is the chance to do so. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Would the applicant like to respond?
Yes, I just wanted to rest Ms. Claudia's concern at ease. Once we build the primary home, at that point, we'll be putting in the stormwater management that goes underground. At that point, we'll be over the 5,000 square foot impervious area, and that's required by the city. But we have full intentions of that and have already, been looking at the engineer work around that. So we will definitely take care of that.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yes, sir.
Director Cook, is there a condition to that item as far as underground detention?
There is not, but when they come in with the main structure, then they will have to meet the requirements. They've actually removed more than they're putting back at this point because there was a home on the property. So putting the 1,000, I think it's 1,211 square foot carriage house back there is basically what was on the property before it was demolished. So when they come in for the main home, that will put them over the 5,000 square feet, and then they will have to do the detention.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that point.
Sure.
Councilman Mitchell.
Ms. Cook, I'm asking this because of other issues I've heard about this week further down Canton Street, where the detention was before our ordinance, so it didn't get underneath the massive house that's on Canton Street, and all the flooding went into Miss Smith's yard. And so I've heard a little bit about that from time to time this week. So it's 5,000 square feet, and below that, it's not required. Is that correct?
That's correct.
We may want to look at that because
It's
5,000 is still a huge home to have impervious space over.
It's 5,000 of new or replaced impervious. Then that triggers the full hydrology requirements.
Okay, thank you.
Does anyone, Councilman Dorito?
Kathy, just a follow-up from Councilman Mitchell's comments regarding stormwater management along Canton Street. I too have heard, a lot of flooding issues we've had. We've had a lot of deluges lately, obviously, so that just exacerbated and brought kind of the issue to light on this particular application. So is there anything in the interim, since the main house is not going to be constructed for who knows when, right? To address Mrs. Lewis's comments with respect to, they're already seeing some stormwater issues with the property from some of the, what the developer's done already there. So is there any condition we could put in to make sure that they are addressing that, even with the carriage house?
Well, we'll have to look at it with the permit. So they are required to submit for a permit. And they did remove and demolish a home that was on the property. So they're really not putting anything back that's more, of an impact to the property, creating more impervious than what was previously there. But what could have happened, because they put in the sewer line connection, it could have been graded differently, so that's something that we need to look at. It could be something very small, like just putting in the sewer connection that caused the water pattern to change. So that's something that staff will look at as part of the permit.
And Kathy, I'm assuming our stormwater engineer, Jill, would be involved at making sure that that's addressed with the construction of the carriage house.
Yes,
Right,
we'll take a look at this one. Well, all of them, but this one in particular, look at that sewer line.
Any other questions for Director Cook? Thank you very much. So we've had public comment and we've had question and answers. Are we ready for a motion?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, I make a motion this evening to approve V-25-08 Brown 190 Canton Street with one correction to condition number 1 as presented by Ms. Cook. It shall read, site shall be developed substantially similar to the site plan prepared by Travis Pruitt Associates, Inc., dated 3-3-25, and this is the new language, including clearing limits and future home placement, as presented to us this evening.
Second.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Merkel and a second by Councilman Brady, I believe, by a hair. Any discussion? All of those in favor of the motion, please vote yes, otherwise vote accordingly. And it does pass unanimously. Congratulations. So the next item up on our agenda is PH-25-09, City of Alpharetta Capital Improvement Element, CIE. Mr. Woodman, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The next item is consideration of a resolution adopting the fiscal year 2024 CIE Capital Improvement Element and Annual Report. Just as a reminder, the CIE and Annual Report basically is providing a means of tracking our performance, and it serves as a tool for measuring progress in achieving community goals as outlined in our comprehensive plan. Council approved a resolution authorizing staff to transmit our CIE and Annual Report to the Atlanta Regional Commission and the Department of Community Affairs, DCA, in May, on May 5th of this year. And ARC notified the city on May 29th that DCA issued a finding of fact that our capital improvement element adequately addressed the local planning requirements. Basically, it's an accounting of our expenditures of our impact fees. With that, we are asking for your approval of the resolution.
And Mr. Mayor, on this one, since it is a resolution, if we could have Ms. Eswine read it into the record before voting, that would be appreciated.
Do that. I'm currently biding time until I can get Mayor Pro Tem back to the dais as well. So if you would like, Ms. Eswine, what an appropriate time to read the resolution.
Thank you. A resolution by the Mayor and Council of the City of Alpharetta, Georgia, for the adoption of the fiscal year 2024 Capital Improvement Element and Annual Report.
Thank you very much. As we wait, does anyone on council have a question regarding this item that Mr. Woodman presented? Fair enough. Well, let's not keep everybody waiting. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, Mayor, I move to approve resolution adopting the fiscal year 2024 capital improvement element and annual report.
Second that.
We have a motion and a second. We have not had public comment. Do we have any public comment cards on that item?
We do not, Mr. Mayor.
However, if anyone would like to come forward and speak on this matter, now is your chance to do so. I'm giving an especially long time to see if anyone wants to comment. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the item, please vote yes. And it does pass unanimously. Next item up. Well, if you've got the printed agenda, the next item up is one that I mentioned earlier that was deferred, so that will not be heard this evening. So we'll move on to new business, and that is the fiscal year to. Oh, okay. Thank you once again. So there was one more public hearing, and that was for the fiscal year 2026 budget and millage rate levy, third public hearing.
I can just let you know, Mayor, that this is one of those that's statutorily required. This is the third of the three required public hearings on those two topics. We had one at 11:30 earlier today. This would complete the series of public hearings, so we'd open it up for a public comment, and if there is none, this requires no motion or vote. We'll just move on.
So now's your opportunity if you'd like to come forward and speak on this item. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. There is no motion or no vote on this item. So we'll go back to the new business again, and it has already been read and voted on. So we'll go back to the fiscal year 2026 budget ordinance.
We're actually going to need two individual votes, Mayor. We're going to need a vote on the millage rate ordinance and then the budget ordinance. If we could do A first in sequence and then B, that would be great. Tom's prepared to present, although I can let
Okay.
you know. Well, we'll have the microphone that there's been no changes since the first reading.
Thank you very much. Director Harris.
And Mr. Mayor, I'm just going to go ahead and read the ordinance, if you don't mind.
Please do.
An ordinance by the mayor and council of the city of Alpharetta, Georgia, to fix the ad valorem tax rate of the city of Alpharetta, Georgia for the fiscal year commencing July 1, 2025 and ending June 30, 2026, and for other purposes.
Thank you very much.
Good
Director
evening,
Harris.
Mayor and Council. This is the second reading of the millage rate ordinance. No changes from the first reading, and I just want to add that the actual millage rates that are established in there is one for operating at 5.030 mils, and then for the debt service on our bonds, it's 0.720 for a total millage rate of 5.750 mils.
Do we have any questions for Director Harris? Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Shapiro, do we have any public comment cards on this item?
We do not have any, Mr. Mayor.
However, if anyone would like to come forward and speak on this item, now's your chance. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2026 millage rate ordinance.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilman Brady, second by Mayor Pro Tem Merkel. Any discussion? Just note for the record, there is no millage rate increase. Once again, we're on a roll. All those in favor of the motion to approve, please vote yes. Otherwise, vote accordingly. And it does pass unanimously. Now we'll move forward. And you've already read the item?
No, I read the millage rate ordinance, so if you'd like, I can go ahead and read the budget ordinance.
Budget ordinance, please.
An ordinance.
I thought we might have done that out of order earlier, so I wanted to make sure.
Understood. An ordinance by the mayor and council of the city of Alpharetta, Georgia, adopting the final estimates of revenue and expenditures for the fiscal year commencing July 1, 2025 and ending on June 30th, 2026 as its annual budget, appropriating the use of funds shown therein as may be needed or deemed necessary to defray all expenditures and liabilities of the city for such fiscal year, providing an effective date and for other purposes.
Thank you very much. Director Harris?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll just add to that again that this is the second reading of the ordinance. There's no changes since the first reading, and as Mr. Lagerblum mentioned, we've had 3 public hearings and we had 2 budget workshops, and we also had the reading of the ordinances first and second on the rates and as well as the millage rate herein. And with that, I just want to thank all the departments and the council for the direction at putting this budget together, and obviously the Chris Lagerblum's.
I've never said this before, but could you please speak up so
Oh,
that
Lord,
everyone can hear
it
you?
happens every time when I pull away. I'm sorry. I want to thank everybody.
He just wants to hear that again.
Yeah, thanks.
No, I just was really concerned that he wasn't speaking loud enough for those that might be watching online or behind him.
Sorry about that.
No, that's quite all right. Any questions for Director Harris? Thank you, sir. Ms. Shapiro?
We have no public comment cards for this item.
However, if you'd like to come forward and speak on these items, now's your chance. Seeing none, close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2026 budget ordinance.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilman Brady, a second by Councilman Dorito. Any discussion? Councilman Hypes, then Councilman Mitchell.
Just make a note that, I think staff and the directors have just done an outstanding job with the budget. I'm looking here from last year. The budget all in last year was $163,590,000. I think it's the first time in my tenure on council that we passed a budget slightly less than the previous year. And, the city grows, gets more sophisticated, there's more to take care of. And for the budget to actually be lower than last year is attributable to all the work that was put into it. And I think they did a great job.
Councilman Mitchell.
And I would echo what Councilman Hypes just said, but also for our citizens to still maintain an effective millage rate at 5.75 and to get the quality of life that we have here in Alpharetta with our parks, our public safety, all these issues, which all of our costs, especially as far as public works, asphalt, all of those things, the costs have just gone up exponentially, and we're still maintaining that 5.75 millage rate. And so I hope that doesn't go unseen. No one likes to pay taxes, but in Alpharetta, we have a really great quality of life for the amount that our citizens are billed each month. And it's becoming harder and harder to do that, but I'm glad we have been able to do that. And this is a testament to the entire council and our previous councils. So thank you.
Councilman Dorito?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to echo the comments of my colleagues already, but I also want to specifically acknowledge our city administrator, our mayor, who oversees the budget process and presents the budget to the council. After a lot of effort and time by our finance department with all the directors of our city departments, it's a long process, it's a lot of work, and I do think that this budget represents the vision of this city council, including former Councilman Brian Will, who's no longer with us this evening, but he's still alive. I just said that that could be misinterpreted, so I think he's in Hawaii right now. Anyway, I think he's still alive. Anyway, but no, in all sincerity, I went to Helium, the comedy club in Alpharetta Saturday night, so I'm still telling jokes since then. But no, in all sincerity, and to Director Harris and his finance team, who really carries the water on the entire budget process and keeps the city fiscally sound. Much congratulations and appreciation to your team, Tom. When you look at this budget, it not only doesn't increase the tax rates on the citizens of our community for the 12th year in a row, I think, Mayor, if I'm correct, but it also sustains the high level of services that we provide to our city residents and our business community, both in public safety, infrastructure improvements. I think there's $2 million in stormwater management, which the city started putting some money towards in the last few years on some of the older sections of the city that required more continuous maintenance. And our IT department and increasing the use of technology in our operations. And we can go across the board, Parks and Recreation. They're all fully funded, and our directors and the 400 somewhat employees of the city do an unbelievable job to sustain a level of services in a very proactive way with our citizenry. So I appreciate every one of them, and I appreciate my colleagues, the mayor and the council, for supporting this budget and really working hard as a team, as a collaborative team, to make sure that we are fiscally responsible in spending every penny of the taxpayers' dollars. So I appreciate it.
Councilman Brady, as the liaison to finance,
I got to jump in on this.
You have the floor.
I absolutely want to resonate some of the same things, and the compliment to Director Harris, the finance team, mayor, and the council for really looking at this. It's always good to take a look at where you've come from, a history, where you are, and then where you're going. Right, that rear view today and windshield. So in celebration, I'm going to say it loud, I'm going to say it proud. This is 20 years in a row of the highest credit rating a city can kind of have with our bonds and where that goes to. I've said it, only 4 counties in Georgia have that rating. You think about that, that's significant. So just with that goes to a lot of hard work and a lot of fiscal responsibility. So that's where we are today. But also where you look in the future is, where's that roadmap? Where's our 5-year plan? Where's our 10-year plan? There's been a lot of discussion about that, a lot of planning. Just want to thank staff and the work of the team to really look at that, and the council. It's like, as we look at every piece, we have to plan where the future is and to reserve those pieces, those monetary kind of capacities for where we want to go to make sure our infrastructure maintains the highest quality as we look forward. and that infrastructure will be there, that we can't forget about what is going to happen with the natural deterioration, as we all like to have to complement the improvements that we have under certain special projects. But I think we balance that really well, and I can't say enough about that, and to brag about 20 years in a row of the highest credit rating. So thank you, Tom, and thank you, Mayor and the council.
That being said, all those in favor of the motion to approve the budget as outlined in the motion, please vote yes. And it does pass unanimously. So next, we'll move on to the next item, which is the purchase approval for item A, cybersecurity subscription renewal with Verinext Corporation. Director Montgomery.
Excuse me. Mayor and Council, as discussed in the 11:30 a.m. executive session this morning, this is a renewal, cybersecurity subscription renewal through a reseller called Verinext Corporation in the amount of $55,767.40. Any questions? I'm happy to answer.
Do we have any questions for Director Montgomery? Well done, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Shapiro, do we have public comment cards?
We do not, Mr. Mayor.
However, if anyone would like to come forward and speak on this item, now is your chance to do so. Seeing no one come forward, we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the cybersecurity subscription renewal with Verinext Corporation in consideration of approval for the purchase order of Verinext Corp. in the amount not to exceed $55,767.40, and ask the mayor and council to follow through.
I have a motion by Councilman Mitchell. I think, didn't you have a second first? Okay. Councilman Heights beat you by a second. Councilman Mitchell with the motion and Councilman Heights with the second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve as outlined by Councilman Mitchell, please vote yes. And it does pass unanimously. So we'll move right along to the purchase approval for item B, cybersecurity subscription renewal with SHI International, Inc. Once again, Mr. Montgomery, you've got the floor.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for that approval. Again, as discussed this morning at the 11:30 executive session, this is a cybersecurity renewal, annual cybersecurity subscription renewal with SHI International on a state contract in the amount of $80,486.77.
Any questions for Director Montgomery on this item? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Shapiro, any public comment cards on this item?
We have none, Mr. Mayor.
However, if anyone would like to come forward and speak on this item, now's your chance. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion that we approve item B, cybersecurity subscription renewal with SHI International Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $80,486.77, and ask the mayor and council to follow through.
We have a motion by Councilman Mitchell. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councilman Brady. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve, please vote yes. Otherwise, vote accordingly. Move right along. The next item is the purchase approval for cybersecurity infrastructure. Director Robinson, this is you.
This is me. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Back in 2023, Public Safety took on the project of upgrading our card reader system. And so back then we did a major system hardware update, and now we are at the point where we need to actually replace the card readers themselves. 115 of those. To keep it simple, it makes it much more secure. Right now, our system is not as secure as it needs to be, and so this will get us where we need to be from a security standpoint to 115, and the total cost being $73,726.89, and so that's what we're asking for your approval of tonight.
Thanks, sir. Do we have any questions for Director Robinson? Councilman Dorito.
Just one, Chief. Does this apply to any card readers in the jail itself, or is that separate?
I'm sorry, the jail?
Does it have the card readers there for our officers?
No, the jail, this will be for every city building, period,
okay.
yes.
Okay,
Right,
gotcha.
right, yes.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions for Director Robinson? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Shapiro, do we have any public comment cards on this item?
We do not have any, Mr. Mayor.
However, if you'd like to come forward and speak on this agreement, now is your chance. Seeing none, close public comment. Do I have a motion from council?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to ask the council to approve cybersecurity infrastructure with Net Planner Systems in an amount not to exceed $73,726.89, and ask the mayor and council to execute all necessary documents.
I have a motion by Councilman Mitchell, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Merkel. Any discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to go back from the two previous ones and also this one because there was some involvement with Mr. Montgomery, our Director of IT, and also thank Chief Robinson for the work they've done on this. He's done extensive work, as we all experienced today, and because of the secretive nature of it, we want to make sure our systems are secure. I hear all the time about how, even going on right now, Social Security numbers are being stolen, but we spend a lot of money as a city staying on top of that and doing what other cities have not done. And so I want to thank Adam Montgomery as director there for following through with all of that, and the rest of our staff, Chief Lagerbloom, and Director Lagerbloom, and all that he's done to be involved with it as well. So thank you.
That being said, all those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. And it does pass unanimously. So we'll move on now to public comment. So if you've been here waiting for your moment to speak in public, now is your chance to do so. Seeing no one come forward, we'll close public comment. Do we have any reports this evening? Seeing no reports, we have already had our executive session, so I don't expect one this evening. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, Mayor.
I have a motion to adjourn by Councilman Dorito, second by Mayor Pro Tem. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion to adjourn, please vote yes. And it's unanimous. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Look forward to seeing you again next time.